Okay, so this is basically going to be my review of my experience with the organization called Protrack Anti-Poaching, Volunteer Work and Work Experience. If you're watching this video, you probably know who Protrack is and what they do, but just in case you don't, Protrack Anti-Poaching, it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, it's an anti-poaching agency that offers volunteers and people that want work experience to come over and volunteer with them, go out with them on patrols, all that kind of stuff. They've been around since 1992, 1995, one of those two I think, so they've been around for a long time and they're the best at what they do, which is protecting rhinos from being poached, which I have no doubts about. I'm sure they're fantastic at that specific role. So keep in mind that everything that I'm about to say, I'm sure it doesn't represent the organization as a whole. If it does, that fucking sucks. This may just be a one-off time thing that happened, a one-off situation, or maybe it's happened to everyone. I don't know. I guess yeah, I haven't seen many other reviews on it, so I can't really say that. So this is just going to be a review of my personal experience. I'm not saying that if you choose to volunteer with them, this is how you're going to be treated, this is what's going to happen to you. I'm just putting this out there so that you have an idea of what to expect. So yeah, here we go. So I confirmed with Jessica Simmons, I think her name is, the volunteer organizer of the company, two times, that's 2 times over email, that I would be picked up from the airport. I gave her the time my flight got in. My flight wasn't delayed at all, so that's not an excuse. Not that it would be. But she failed to pick me up, and this is where it gets a bit funky. There was a lady just kind of waiting around at the airport. She charged me 200 Rand, which isn't that much money, but still, you know, it's money I could have bought a few meals with, you know. So she charged me 200 Rand to drive me from the airport to the lodge that they had booked us in for before we went and volunteered with them. The funky thing is that I spoke to a lot of other guys that volunteered with me on the same course, and the exact same thing happened to them. So they failed to pick up a lot of people, and this same lady was there to drive everyone to the lodge and charge everybody 200 Rand. So sounds like she's making quite a bit of profit on that. And I find it somewhat suspicious that she just happened to be at the airport every time someone from Protrack's flight got in, or someone from Protrack's bus got in there. And she told me that she was waiting at the airport to pick up people on a tour. But she picked me up from the airport, drove me to the lodge, drove straight back to the bus station, picked someone else up, drove them to the lodge. So it seemed like, I'm not saying that they are working together, but it's definitely a possibility that they kind of, you know, Protrack and her have some kind of agreement there. Maybe that's just my speculation, I don't know. But yeah, so they failed to pick me up from the airport. And I was forced to pay some random stranger who could have kidnapped me and killed me or whatever to drive me to the lodge. So very unreliable on that point. Another thing, another bad thing that happened was I confirmed with them via email that my payment was 100% processed a month or so prior to the final payment date. And then all of a sudden, a day after the closure date that said you must have all your money paid by this date, a day after that date, I was sent an email saying that I still owe them 200 Rand with no explanation of why. They said their exact explanation was, yes, it must be bank fees on your end. And there were no bank fees on my end. It was all sorted out. I had confirmed with them already that I had paid the full amount. So far that's 400 Rand extra that has been weaseled out of me for very dumb and unclear reasoning. So if you are going to volunteer with these guys, take much more money than you think you need, because you'll get it weaseled out of you somehow. onto the lodge. So before volunteering, they tell you, we've booked you into the Murray Lane Lodge for this date to this date before you volunteer. So you have somewhere nice to stay. So you look it up, Murray Lane Lodge. Oh, it looks alright. It's 3-star lodge. It looks very good, awesome. When you get there, you don't get your own room. It's basically 2 rooms, and instead of a lodge, it's the best way I can think of describing it would be a very, 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 very cheap backpacking place, I guess. 2 rooms, 8 beds, and if you don't get a bed, which you fucking don't, because all the higher rank people get the beds, you're sleeping on the floor. So, and that's alright, fair enough, right? But where it gets dodgy is the fact that I only stayed there for 1 night, and in that night, I was treated like a piece of shit by the higher ranking Protrack members, which, you know, I understand it's a hierarchy thing, and if you're going into it like as a job, you know, you got corporals, sergeants, whatever, they treat the little guys like shit, I get that, but I wasn't going into it as a job. I paid 5,000 Australian dollars of my own money to travel overseas to help save the rhino and fight this poaching epidemic that's going on, and you treat me like a piece of fucking shit? What is this bullshit? Like, is that how you say thanks for coming over and trying to help with this? Doesn't make much sense to me. Not to mention that also I had some of my possessions stolen by people in that lodge, Protrack members. So, whoever you are, fuck you for doing that. And yeah, so thankfully I kept all my personal belongings tight on my body, so they couldn't get to any of like the important stuff, but they stole other petty things. I'm not going to mention specifically what they were, but that kind of shit shouldn't be happening in a volunteer organization, obviously. So something fucked up there, and be prepared for that if you want to go volunteer with these guys. Now this is the main point and one of the main reasons that I left. So Protrack is an anti-poaching agency, and they claim to give a shit about animals and the environment, which makes sense. You would think an agency that wants to help stop poaching, stop animals being murdered, and protect the environment would give a shit about environmental issues and things like that. However, on my course, 90% of the instructors and employees constantly littered. Now, when I say litter, I mean everything from, they were all raging, like literally everybody that works here is a fucking alcoholic, and they all smoke 1 cigarette at least every 5 minutes. Every single fucking cigarette they smoke, they dump on the ground. Every single bottle of alcohol they drink, they don't put it in the bin. They throw it into the fucking bush, they break it. Plastic bottles, same shit. They drink something with a straw, they just throw the straw away. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm not sure if you're aware of what kind of damage things like that can do to individual animals and the environment, but a single fucking plastic straw can do so much damage and cause so much fucking pain, and I can't comprehend, it makes me angry to think about it. I can't comprehend how somebody working for an agency that claims to want to protect animals and the environment is willing to be the direct cause of so much pain and suffering to an individual animal and the environment simultaneously. That gears are turning in my head trying to work it out, but they're getting stuck because it doesn't make any fucking sense. The only reasonable conclusion that comes to mind is that they don't give a shit about animals or the environment, and that they're just in it for the money. They're soldiers first, environmentalists never. So if you're going to join up with these guys to help cure the environment, you're going to be severely disappointed, is all I'm going to say. And with the littering as well, the instructors would litter, I would pick up the litter, and you would think they'd say, oh yeah, good job man, you're cleaning up the environment, awesome, let's put that in the bin now. No. Instead, what they did was they took it out of my hand, threw it even further into the bush, and then made me do push-ups for disobeying their orders and making them look like a fool for picking up their shit that's going to murder an innocent animal and have negative impacts on the environment. They punished me for trying to do what I traveled across the country, traveled halfway across the world to do. Explain that shit to me. Yeah, you can't, can you? Because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Along the same lines as the littering thing, we were heavily encouraged to burn plastics and other hazardous materials in our fires. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that if you're out on patrol, you might have nowhere to put it. It might make too much noise when you're walking, it'll rustle or whatever. Enemies will be able to spot you by the sound of rustling plastic in your pocket, things like that. You might have to burn it, and that's a reasonable compromise for saving a rhino's life. Burning one plastic bag, saving a rhino's life, fair enough. But we were on a training camp. There's bins all around us, yet we're told to burn the plastic. Now, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me again either, because there's the burning of the plastic, which is the risk or the bad thing, and then there's absolutely zero fucking reward for that happening. So, do they just want to fuck up the environment? Or, like, are they doing it for fun? Or, like, they're uneducated? I don't know. So that doesn't make any sense. They told us to burn plastic, burn things containing arsenic, all of which are very hazardous to both your own personal health and safety and the environment. So, fucking doesn't make sense to me again. An organization that is supposedly there to protect the environment and animals is the direct cause of animal suffering and negative environmental impacts. So, if you want to explain that to me, Protrack, please do it, because I would love it. Yeah. 99.9% of what I learned was from fellow trainees that had already learned these things prior to coming into the course. So, the way the instructors teach you, I use the term teach very loosely. They don't teach you. You would actually have a better chance of watching a YouTube video on your computer, going outside in your own backyard and trying to figure out how to do it yourself. Because the way they teach you is they basically just say, this is how you do it, they do it very quickly, and then they scream at you for about 5 minutes. So it wasn't until after the lesson I went back, my fellow trainees that were familiar with what we were doing, weapons, tracking, whatever, would help me out with it. Because they had learned how to do that prior to coming onto the course. So the instructors, they taught me, the one thing they actually taught me was put the sun between you and the spore. That's it. Everything else I learned from trainees. Weapons, everything else to do with tracking, food, every other thing. And yeah, again with the employees, my next point, which I've already kind of touched on a little bit, a lot of the employees treat you like absolute fucking shit, and I understand that on the training course, that's part of their job, because they're trying to break you. Not that I actually agree that that's 100% necessary, because it's not the fucking military, you're an anti-poaching agency, but I won't touch on that. So, I basically, here's a direct example. Like I said, you get to the lodge, the higher ranking guys treat you like a piece of fucking shit, even though you've come halfway across the world to help do a good thing, you thought. So I did the course, they treat you like shit. That's acceptable, because they're trying to break you. Fair enough. Treat me like shit on the training course. And then, basically, I snapped when it came to the environmental impacts and littering. You know, I tried to educate them on how much of an effect that has on individual animals' lives, and that it doesn't make any sense to, you know, try to save one animal whilst being the direct cause of murdering thousands of other innocent animals. And they just didn't fucking get it, so I snapped, I left, and yeah, so after I dropped out of the course, the instructors, not all of them, I'll name the good guys' names here. Sergeant Danger, Sergeant Zorro treated me pretty nice after I dropped out. They were pretty nice to me. But Corporal I won't say names, but everyone else treated me like a piece of shit still, except for Sergeant Calvin. Everyone besides those three people treated me like an absolute piece of shit after I had dropped out. So, I'm a volunteer. I pay $5,000 to come halfway across the world to help fight against rhino poachers. I drop out of the course. It's not for me. I don't necessarily agree with what you guys are doing. Sure, cool, fair enough. So now, theoretically, you have no superiority to me, right? So why do you still treat me like a piece of shit? You're still screaming at me. You're still yelling at me. Like, man, I dropped out. I'm going home. Fair enough. You can stop being a cunt now. So, in summary, Protrack anti-poaching, I'm sure, is fantastic at protecting rhinos. That's about it. That's all they're good at. They don't seem to have a great understanding of how terrible of an environmental impact littering and burning hazardous materials can have on the environment and animals. They're pretty much all cunts. They treat you like shit despite why you came over and what you're trying to do there. And yeah, I would recommend going on this course if you want to test yourself mentally and physically, get a good life experience. Because I'll admit, I am definitely glad I went, because like they say, you always regret the chances that you never took, but you always regret the chances you never take. If I never went, I'd still be wondering, man, like what would have happened if I went and joined Protrack for a bit. You know, I had some amazing fucking experiences. I got chased by a herd of buffalo, chased by a fucking giraffe. I had to sneak around an elephant on heat that would have fucked us up if it saw us, and you know, like I almost died like twice. It was fucking crazy, and I'm so glad I went. I'm just very disappointed with what I found there in the specific organization. So if you want to test yourself, yes, go. If you want to get some great experience, yes, go. Although you can probably get that somewhere else and, you know, not be as disappointed as I was. If you want to get a look into some kind of military lifestyle, I guess, yeah, go, great. If you want to help protect the rhino but don't give a shit about anything else, any other animal or the environment, go, please. But if, like me, I went over there looking. I'm an animal activist back here in Australia, and you know, I wasn't expecting to be able to be 100% vegan over there, but you can be 100% vegan. But if you're going over there because you enjoy protecting all life, and you give a shit about the environment, and you want to leave a nice home for your children, for the next generation, you want there to be a home for the next generation, and you get angry at people that actively destroy the planet and have negative impacts on the environment and directly cause death and suffering to innocent animals, don't go, because you'll be disappointed, and if you're passionate, you'll probably snap and leave the course. So, and then be treated like a piece of shit. So, yeah, that's my review of anti-poaching volunteer and work experience. Again, that's just my personal experience. Maybe it was a one-off, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. So don't take what I'm saying as this is definitely what's going to happen to you, because maybe you'll have a great fucking time. Maybe I just had shit instructors, I don't know, but I just thought I'd put my own experience out there so you have something to judge against other than all of their like self-made videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope I helped, I guess. Alright, ciao. Ciao, bye, farewell, au revoir.